Hello everybody, welcome back to another Dark and Darker video. Today I'm going to show you guys how to get rich if you're not crazy good at the game. So I had some people comment that some of my other tactics to earn gold in this game are a little bit too hard, and frankly I should have seen that coming, because I have like, man, I want to say like 450 hours in this game now, which is a lot of hours. And even if you just got to level 20 for the first time and you hadn't played this game for very much, you still want to earn gold in this game and like learn how to build a kit and all of that. And you can't learn how to build a kit if you don't ever earn any gold. So this is a real newer player friendly method of earning gold. Now I will tell you that if you want to do this, you're really only going to make money doing this if you actually are a premium account and can sell stuff on the market. If you're a free-to-play account, you can only buy stuff on the player trade market. So this is quite important that you be a premium player, otherwise this just isn't a very good method. There's better methods for being free-to-play, which generally involves selling treasure to a store. And you can hear a player walking up on me here. I placed a trap in the darkness before because it's so darn likely that you get attacked while in this area that it's absurd. And there's another player coming up on me, completely unrelated, because this is solos, from the other side. Luckily, it seems the other player ran off when I shot at them. And I'm just shooting this guy with what I can. And he is dead. And that's why I placed the trap there, because you can just play around it, jump over it repeatedly. They don't know it's there, especially if you place it a century ago. Realistically, I think Ranger is quite bad nowadays, unless you do stuff like that where you place traps right next to you and you just camp an area for a super long period of time. Traps are still super good, but that's pretty much what you play Ranger for at this point. If I had my Rogue leveled, I would have been playing Rogue for this, but Ranger's what I have leveled that has fast interact speed for mining. And basically what we're doing is we are just mining the ore in the goblin caves in this room. And you're going to see me take the items off of this guy here that actually sell for something to other players, which are basically like the leather chauces, the oracle robe, the rawhide gloves, everything that give knowledge. Those are his starter items, but he has some quests done. People buy those that don't have quests done so that they can have spells on under 25 gear score lobbies. Worth a lot more if it's white gear over gray gear, but we're not too worried about it. Also, just so you guys know, I am cutting ahead on all of the sections where I'm mining because I find it super boring to just sit there and watch someone mine for 12 hours. But that's basically what the strategy is you come to this one room at the top right of the Goblin Caves map, which is the Goblin Mines, if I remember correctly. And yeah, it just has a ton of ore in it, and it earns you some pretty good gold. And we'll look into another mining method later on in this video, so stay tuned for that. Once again, both of these are going to be noob friendly. We're not going into anything that's like a super crazy hard method today. And you really don't get much off of the goblins in normals. It feels like a waste of time to me to even loot them. Whereas in High Roller, it's pretty much worthwhile to just loot everything. And we're getting a lot of iron ore here. Plenty of stuff to mine. And it feels like a much shorter period of time when you're watching this back after I've edited it. But yeah, it takes a while to mine all that stuff. You definitely want to have a higher interact speed character. I would recommend Rogue for this strategy because Rogue is actually quite good despite what people might tell you about Rogue. He's not doing bad at all. And his interact speed is just fast. He moves fast so you can run away from other players. It just makes a lot of sense. Whereas if you're playing Ranger, you got to do dumb stuff like placing traps in random dark corners where you think people will come and attack you. We're going to take the green recurve over the gray longbow. Frankly, I think longbow is a little bit troll now, but I have most of my Ranger experience on previous wipes from a long time ago when longbow was really the go-to. And so I know the arrow drop better on longbow than something like survival bow or anything like that. And I went away from mining there just so I could kill this goblin in case it wandered somewhat close to me. Get rid of it, you know? And what you really want out of here is each one of these ore nodes has a chance to be a different type of ore. I think it can be iron ore most commonly, or it can be cobalt, or it can be copper ore. Copper ore is really what you want to go for, ideally, because it's more expensive, but mining everything is worthwhile. Copper ore is expensive because it can be used to craft items that give you extra movement speed, which is just really, really good right now. Even though the items aren't like very high tier or anything, they come with additional movement speed just like baked in, so they're very expensive. Another nice thing about this strategy is you can kind of just wait here, and there is a staircase in the same room. That's partially why this method has such high rates of encounter with other players, because it's easy to extract on this. You don't have to know the map very well, and there's just quite a bit of gold in this room for you to be farming up from mining all this ore. Mined up all the copper there. Plenty of money. It would have been nice to get some more copper ore spawns, but I do believe iron is the most common. I think we still got unlucky here. I'm looking around in the footage here to try and find more ore spawns because, frankly, I haven't done this method much. I can't say that this is the absolute most effective method. It just isn't. Farming Frost Wyvern is now the absolute most effective method as a solo player, except that is very, very high skill in this game. I commented that on the last video as well, and someone went ahead and they replied and like, if you think killing Frost Wyvern as a solo warlock is hard, you belong in the retirement home. Guys, if you start to think like that Frost Wyvern solo isn't very hard, chances are you do need to go and spend some more time with your family or something along those lines, because that could very well be true for you, that you're just that good and Frost Wyvern isn't very hard for you. But if that's legitimately the case, like, there's only so much time in a day for video games, guys. All right, and we're extracting here. And we got out nice and easy. We're gonna go sell the ore. This is me just going ahead and showing what it's worth. So the iron ore is worth 140 a stack, which actually adds up pretty quick. Another nice thing about this is they sell super quick. So you don't have to wait there for like a super long time waiting for the stuff to sell. We're gonna look up what copper ore is worth. And it looks like it's more like 270 a stack-ish. So we get way more per stack of copper ore. You definitely want copper ore to be what you find, but it's just RNG. And then I do go ahead and sell the other items as well, like the treasures, and then I do list the leggings and the occultist robe. I think I got like 100 gold for those. I didn't have it in the footage, but I do remember listing them. They did sell, but they took forever to sell too. It would have been way better if they were just white tier. And now we're going into the second method, which basically what this method is, hey, you just play through crypts and then you go and mine ruby silver ore in Inferno. Once again, this is on normals, so this is a little bit easier than doing it on high roller. High roller Inferno is really where it gets difficult. By the way, guys, I understand as a newer player that there's a lot of new mobs there that you might not have encountered before. But the nice thing is, on normals, they are slower than you, so you can outrun them, which makes things way easier. You can still encounter nightmare mobs in normals, so it is still much more dangerous than crypts. But you guys will see that when we get there. By the way, I highly recommend you guys do the quest where you turn in 5 blue weapons. That way you can get a spear from the squire on your default kit. That's what I did here. And by the way, for those blue weapons, you can use blue Francisca axes or blue throwing knives and turn those in. Those count as full blue weapons. That's what I always did because I would play high roller. And you get plenty of those, and I would turn those in. And I turn them in on all of my characters, which makes things a little nicer. You get access to better weapons. And also, it just leveled up my characters a little bit, so if I ever play them, like, I'm good to go. They're a little bit leveled up already, which helps a lot with the initial process, because you can start off with, like, 2 perks instead of 1. It helps a lot. And in this lobby, I actually queued duos. The first one on this, I queued solos, normals, and I immediately got hunted down by a bard player and just died right away. But then I queued it back. I'm like, I'll just run it back with duos because I don't want to wait any time for requeuing for a lobby. Duos, sub 25 gear score. I got 3 people in the lobby. I don't think there was even a duo in the lobby. I think everyone else who queued was also a solo. And 3 people in the lobby. So this is very chill, very not dangerous. I can go to a bit higher traffic areas and still know I'm pretty much going to be safe and I can just loot it. Like this hallway I'm going down right now is a higher traffic area because there's lots of jewelry spawns here, which add up to be a lot of gold. But that's what you want, is lower population lobbies generally for farming gold, if you can find them. And you always want to kill mummies and zombies because they can give you pendants and rings and things like that. So they're pretty high value targets. I want to turn on that torch there because I just wasn't getting enough light. There's like a random aspect now where torches can just be off randomly, which is kind of cool and also kind of annoying. And this guy goes ahead and bubbles. We hate that. This gives them 100% immunity to physical attacks, by the way, guys. Don't try and hit them with that there. I think it's magical attacks as well, so just... it's not worth attacking them while they're red bubbled, guys. Not worth attacking Ghost King while it's red bubbled. And wow, this is a incredibly good drop from that mage. We get both a cloak and an enchanted dark fabric. Enchanted dark fabric is worth about 300 on the market right now because it gets used for crafting things. I think like the Cloak of Darkness, which is the best speed cloak other than like a unique agility cloak, which there's hardly any of in the game. And it's also used for a really, really annoying quest to do because they're just not that common, which upgrades like your tailor or something like that. So gives you some better squire gear. So I highly recommend holding on to those if you get a enchanted dark fabric, guys, and you haven't done that quest yet. And the big reason why I love the spear, especially in normals, is you can just outrange all the enemies and you don't even have to do their kiting patterns or anything. You can literally just stab them outside of their range. Okay. We're kind of rearranging the inventory here. I had 2 separate stacks of arrows that decided not to stack there for some reason. That's one of the reasons why Ranger is extremely annoying to play. And quite honestly, guys, I would say default kit Ranger, it honestly just feels absolutely horrible to play. Ranger scales really well with gear because he's already kind of fast and you can make him really fast. He just is not very good at low gear, though. He feels bad to play at low gear. So does Wizard. Wizard feels horrible to play at low gear. And yeah, Ranger just does not feel good to play at low gear anymore. When he used to feel good at low gear, honestly, I think that was just because Ranger was in general a little bit OP. Now he's a little bit more balanced. You kind of got to rely on your traps and all the assets at your disposal. But yeah, he does not feel the best to play at low gear. Honestly, if you're doing this version of it, I would still use Warlock, actually. Warlock is really good versus PvE. And I really like Warlock in Inferno as well, because you can Hellfire through the walls. And the doors in Inferno don't break with Hellfire, so you can just spam them through the wall over and over and kill enemies that way. It's very safe, very easy to do, makes things easy. I'm always a big fan of cheese methods, because if you get locked in a 1v1 fight with an enemy that you have to kite, what happens if you accidentally aggro a second enemy? What happens if you accidentally get another player attacking you? It's not so easy to kite those mobs anymore. So that's why I'm a big fan of cheesing. I know not everyone's a big fan of cheesing. Some people like fighting the mobs legitimately, and there are some use cases where fighting the mobs legitimately can actually be faster, which I'm very much a fan of. But generally, I just want to go for the cheese because it's less dangerous. You know, if you get third-partied by another mob or by a player, you're not going to get messed up super bad. Okay. And once again, I always recommend you kill all the zombies and mummies and just keep looting them. You will find jewelry. Like, there's some jewelry for me. Okay, it's a 1 knowledge, 2 fizz power ring. It's not a very good rolled piece of jewelry, but even just a 1 knowledge ring, I think is worth over 50 gold. So that's pretty cool. We get some vigor gloves there. Extra max health is always nice in case you encounter PvP, even on Ranger. Ideally, you want more move speed over everything else, but max health is kind of nice too, especially over something like knowledge on Ranger. You can also outrange the zombies to the point where they don't spit their poison gas clouds, which is really, really nice. With the spear. Spear is just overall a crazy good weapon. Also, this bug is like trapped in the wall here. I'm trying to kill it because they also have good jewelry drop chance. And I do succeed, but like he's clipped into the wall here. And I end up disabling the torch thinking that was the dragonfly body. It is not. That is not the dragonfly body. That ain't it. And just so you guys know, gem treasure items are worth 1 tier above the rest of the bangles. So 1 slot bangles are worth the most per inventory slot, and then you basically go based off of their rarity. But gems are worth 1 rarity above all the other 1 tier treasure items. 1 slot treasure items, I should say. So a green diamond is worth as much as like a blue bangle would be generally. So I highly recommend grabbing those. And we always want agility pants. Those loose trousers are good. And really, movement speed is so OP in this game, guys. Really watch your move speed and make certain you don't put items on that are jeopardizing your move speed. It's basically never worth it to put something on that's going to greatly hinder your move speed. And I'm not saying not to fill an equipment slot. That's different. But if it's an item that goes in the same equipment slot but greatly hinders move speed, don't do that. Generally not a good idea. It would have to be a couple of tiers higher item to be worthwhile. And all we do is stab these guys. Once again, you don't even have to kite with the spear, which honestly will kind of give you some bad habits if you're a newer player, because you do need to learn to kite the mobs. I'm just trying to figure out how to grab this bone here, by the way, because I do need it for my quests. I am doing quests on my other characters, not just my main character as well. I really hope they add account-wide questing soon. I know some people are like, hey, I really don't like that because that would make it so I can't get all these quest rewards over and over that are really juicy on money. I think we just say screw it to those people and go, hey, yeah, actually, that's hurting the economy as well, and this is not actually good for the game. I don't know why you would truly want quests to not be account-wide. It just feels really, really bad to play. Because you got to keep track of all these quest items, and then you've got to gather like 40 different of them. And I like doing these runs that are really low gear, which means I like to have my squire upgraded. So I'd really like to have all those quests done that I've already done on another character. In this room right here, by the way, is really good loot. Just right here on these shelves has really high chance to spawn jewelry. And jewelry is a main thing you want to go after if you are doing these normal runs, because most things just aren't worth very much, but jewelry, even a little piece of green jewelry, still has some value. Another thing I've seen people not understanding is different small chests have different items in them. Ornate chests are definitely ones you want to loot. The reinforced chest versus the oak chest, they have different loot. It's completely different drop sets and can be very important to your looting style as you become a more experienced player. And right here, I was kind of going in this direction because that is an Inferno staircase right here. They are indicated by red stairs on the map. And always just sit down when you go into that room right there. Generally, you'll be waiting for a bit for the next lobby. I ended up waiting like 15 seconds, but I just cut ahead for you guys. And now I spawned in this room in the northeast. If you have lockpicks, this room is actually really valuable if you can jump up there and clear out the room and just go ahead and loot the lion's head and all that. I did not mean to aggro the centaur there, by the way, but I did mean to drag him into this room eventually. I just didn't want to do it right then. So we drag him, and this is a nightmare skeleton right here. You can tell it's a nightmare because it's a black skeleton. Elites are a little bit faster, and nightmares are a lot faster. And nightmares also have special attacks. This one's special attack is that it has a reflecting shield. So you want to not hit the shield like I did there for a little bit. Demon dogs, you can dodge just by going a little bit side to side with them. That's generally the easiest way. And you want to get real up close to them, though, because otherwise they will use a pouncing forward attack, which is harder to dodge versus their short pounce attack. So you want to be kind of up close, dodge left and right. Frankly, though, it's easier to just lock mobs behind doors that you don't know how to fight and then just continue on to the next room. Zombies, even an elite zombie, it's pretty much the same process for how you kill them compared to other ones. And just so you guys know, when you're down in Inferno, everything is up a loot tier. It's not exactly the same as like an HR tier of loot, but it's definitely getting up there. So Inferno is fairly close by, even in normals, to like Crypt's high roller loot, how that would be. And we do want to clear out the zombie here because his wander range is enough that it could cause me problems, and I don't want him blocking my door. I do have a physical power shrine on, a shrine of power, which makes me do more damage, so we want to kill him while that's on. Just gives us a little extra speed. And clearing speed is important. And I'm going to open up this room right here, which is a spawn room. And the reason for that is in case anything gets bad, I can either lock myself in there and heal up or do whatever I need to do, or I can drag mobs in there and I can close them in there. Now, normally you want to kill the mini-boss mobs, but that's honestly a little bit more of a warlock strategy. So what I'm doing is I am just dragging the mobs away and locking them in another room away from me. All the harder mobs that are like Inferno exclusive mobs, I just don't really need to fight them. And I've saved all of my jerky for this point, which is like an instant heal. And so we have that on our E. We kind of just want to drag these guys back here. We don't want to go any further than that. That would have triggered a gargoyle onto us, or a demon bat, whatever they're called, flying enemy. We still could have just locked it in there with them as well. And now I just clear out the rest of this room, which is all just mobs you're pretty familiar with, but elite versions. Now, if you haven't seen an elite mob yet, like this red skeleton, basically what they do is they attack faster, they move faster, they have a little bit more health. They're not anything scary. A nightmare mob, on the other hand, is scary, which is indicated by a black texture. Generally, they have a new alternate attack, which makes them scary because if you don't know that attack yet, how are you supposed to dodge it? And these death beetles, you always want to loot as well because they have a really, really high chance of jewelry. And so you always want to be grabbing jewelry wherever you can, especially rings, because there's 2 ring slots and only 1 pendant slot. And so rings end up being worth more generally. And we're just going to come down here, grab this death beetle. If you needed that bug shell for that quest, you'd go ahead and grab that. I didn't really care, so I didn't grab it. And this is a nightmare axe skeleton. Ranger is fairly good at this, so I'm just going to kite him around the room and shoot him in the head and deal with him. Nightmare axe skeletons, if you see a black axe skeleton, avoid, 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 avoid. These are some of the hardest mobs in the game, and they look pretty unassuming like a normal axe skeleton would as well. They are very dangerous, very hard to kite, and if you get another mob on you at the same time, then it's extremely dangerous. They are kiteable. It is possible. You can do it. You circle around them. Generally, I do it to the right, and you look down and crouch at the same time, and you can dodge them. But the window to hit them is also so low, Nightmare Axe Skeletons, you're better off doing what I just did there, where you drag them around the room and shoot them in the head with arrows if you're on a class like Ranger. They're not fun, and you won't encounter them often if you're doing normals. And wow, we just had our entire triple shot eaten. Yeah, that bug is still in the game. I remember that bug being in the game from playtest 3. Just another reason why Ranger is not in his prime anymore. And we're just looting these chests. And we get a little blue tier sapphire there, which is pretty cool. Higher inventory space treasures actually are not worth as much per slot as lower tiers are. So generally you want to drop those first if you're already getting up into the higher tiers with everything else. And I did that because I wanted to mine ruby silver here. Once again, I am cutting ahead on the mining process. We get 2 ore there, which feels pretty bad to get only 2 ore. Nothing too good in there. And I think now I'm going to show you guys a little trick in case you didn't bring a lockpick with you. This room in the far south has a guarantee to spawn either, I believe it's a lockpick or a skull key at a super rare chance. And if you get a skull key, grab that thing and leave immediately. It's worth as much as a low tier artifact weapon is, about 50,000 gold. I don't know if that's only high roller or if that's in normals as well, but basically up here on this pedestal, you can just grab it. And I'm literally just running through this room, aggroing all these mobs and deciding I don't care. Yeah, that's literally what I just did there. Would I recommend you guys do that? Would that go the same for you if you're a newer player? Probably not. But that's literally what you can just do, especially in normals where the mobs are slow. You can do that in high roller as well and get away with it. We're going to open up this gold chest here. And I failed the lockpick. I'm actually usually pretty good at lockpicks, but I just completely failed on that one. What can I say? I'm getting rusty. Skill issue. We kill that guy there. This is just a normal skeleton. There is a chance for skeletons to just be normals as well, even in Inferno, by the way. Although, almost always they will be elite. Always loot your dragonflies once again. Right there, we get a will ring with 1 true physical damage. Any ring with true physical damage on it, you really want to grab. Those are really expensive, so definitely grab those. There's a health shrine in this room, which is kind of nice. We're going to just heal up there. And this room also has portals in it, which is kind of nice. All the rooms in Inferno that have ruby silver in them have portal spawns, because they're each time the corner room that has the ruby silver. And the corner rooms are what have the portal spawns. And portals spawn a little bit earlier in Inferno, from what I understand. So those have already spawned. We're going to mine this ruby silver real quick. Get that taken care of. And then we are going to get on out of here. Just open on up a portal. And the low magic interact speed really hurts on Ranger, although his regular interact speed is fantastic. And we're just trying to fill up some extra inventory spots. Grab that gold chalice there and leave. Now let's go ahead and sell this stuff. I'm not going to sell everything because I do want to keep some of these items for questing. But let's go ahead. We'll look at what these items are worth. So let's go ahead and see what this Chris dagger is worth, because that we're definitely selling. I don't need that for a quest. I don't need to turn any more blue weapons. It's good 68 gold we can get for it. That's pretty nice. And there is always the listing fee as well, by the way, guys. Make certain you factor that in when you're grabbing items. So I get 53 for those 2 inventory spots there. That's pretty good. It also has some extra time factor involved, which, if you think about it in terms of opportunity cost, this is why some people just grab treasures instead. The ruby silver ore is worth 90 each, so 450 for a stack. So that's actually pretty good, especially for a normals run. You definitely would want some more ruby silver ore than this, but honestly, we weren't getting more than that in that run. We got a bunch of rings, though, that run, and we got the Watchman cloak. And so we ended up making some pretty decent gold. I am stashing that ruby silver because I need it for quests on my other characters. Just turn that in for some good XP. but we will take a look at how much this other gear is worth. This Watchman Cloak, we'll see what it is with physical damage reduction. 115, sure, we'll list it for that. I won't be checking in on this character again for a while anyways, so the market slots aren't too important to me. 1 additional magic damage on that ring, which will make it worth something. Otherwise, rings of survival in green tier generally aren't worth much. We're selling this for 97. This is the 1 true physical damage ring, and it's a ring of resolve, which is like the worst ring to get true fizz on, but it's still worth a ton. 179 gold for a 1 slaughter, like that's fantastic. This is why you really want to go for rings, and you want to kill a lot of zombies, a lot of mummies, and go to areas with a lot of ring spawns. And once again, the lobby was pretty much dead, so I felt pretty open to just doing that and going to those areas. It's different if there's people around, of course. Anyways, though, guys, I only have 1 more item to list here, this one with additional magic damage. If you guys liked this video, make certain to subscribe for more, and let me know what you guys would like to see next. Alrighty, bye-bye.